Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny, Kelly, Craig Horlbeck, and we are previewing all the games from NFL Wildcard Weekend. We're going to talk all 6 playoff games this weekend and Monday. And after that, we'll talk about the Raiders firing their head coach, Antonio Pierce, and then later, separately, their GM, Tom Telesco, because they seem like a normal organization. But first, this is a weird episode for us, because on Tuesday, we were planning 1 minute for our year-end fantasy rewatchables episode. And then the next minute, Craig was like, I'm evacuating my apartment. And so this has been a really strange week for us. So Craig, you live in LA. You and Liz evacuated. You guys are safe, but I know there's something you kind of wanted to just start with.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of days. We evacuated Tuesday night. I'm now with Liz's family. We're about an hour north of LA now in Ventura County. Her family's house is on the west side. It's okay right now, but it is still in the evacuation zone. So we still can't go back they still can't go back to their house. The scale of this whole thing is so staggering. 400,000 people have either been evacuated or have been warned to evacuate. 30,000 acres plus burning. Over 1,000 homes and buildings are gone. My wife is from LA. And so she knows a lot of people who have lost their homes in the Palisades and in Altadena on the east side. People we know at the Ringer have been affected. The fires are still 0% contained. So yeah, it's been really tough. A lot of communities have gone down, which a lot of places Liz grew up going to, parks and places she played soccer at growing up and all that stuff. Will Rogers State Park, all that stuff is gone, libraries and stuff. So really, really sad. I wanted to shout out, I've been watching the news nonstop. I just wanted to shout out genuinely to all of the firefighters and the first responders and stuff. There are incredible videos of everything they're doing, going the extra mile, saving people's family heirlooms and pets and things that mean a lot to them. It's just impossible out there right now. And so much of LA is truly gone now. I saw CNN reported that this will be the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history, $50 billion in damage. So if you want to help donate, the LA Times put up a link or put up an article that we'll throw in the description of the show with a bunch of charities and places that you can donate to, Red Cross, but a bunch of things, different kind of ways to help out. So we'll toss that in the link. It's a tough scene here. But I'm very happy to be on with you guys because this is fun now. We can talk a little playoff football. Get the vibes back around. It's been like a dark last 48 hours, but I'm actually thrilled to be on with you two to just hang out and chat. And we should probably start with there's a game in LA on Monday night. It may be in LA, I guess.
Right. I was going to say. Right. So this Rams-Vikings game is scheduled to be in LA, and the NFL they're saying that they'll move it from LA to Phoenix if necessary.
Yep.
And I'm like, necessary?
It, right?
I think it's necessary. The Rams are saying it. They literally today's Thursday recording it. By the time you're listening, maybe they already moved it. But they sent an email out to their season ticket holders saying this is just a contingency plan to move it to Arizona. And as Craig, you just said, the fire is, what's the word? 0% contained. And I'm like, I don't know. It's why would they hold it? I don't know.
I know.
Move the game.
It's not really near there, but it doesn't really matter. Also, the air quality in LA is all-time bad.
That's what I was going to say. That too are they going to wear masks during the game or something?
The Chargers barely practiced outside because of the air quality. So I don't know. They should probably just go to Glendale and do this, but I guess we'll see.
Also, I'm always torn because it's not, you can't hold a game for 70, 80,000 people without a certain amount of first responders. And I think that's also part of it.
Totally.
Where it's every police officer and to some extent ambulances and everybody that you need some people on staff. You are draining the resources. Even if it's not directly in the area of the fires, you're draining the local resosources, which probably not for the best.
Everybody in LA is in the Palisades and in Altadena. Yeah. They had called for every single person, every firefighter in Southern California, all the way down to San Diego to volunteer. So literally everybody is being sucked to those two areas. So I agree. The resources are incredibly stretched thin right now.
So yeah, I don't know why they're waiting, but I assume they'll move it to this game. And this game is on Monday, so they do have a little more time. But I'm kind of like, what are we doing?
Do you think moving the game to Arizona changes the spread?
No,
or no, because the Rams don't really have a home field.
I was going to say, I don't
maybe
think
a point.
I don't think the spread of facts. Frankly. If the games the Rams have played this season against other teams, when the Steelers play in LA, when the Packers play in LA at SoFi Stadium, it's more than 60% of those fans are Steelers or Packers or the big fan bases. So I don't think the Rams have a home field. The Chargers practice on silent counts for home games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they
right.
practice silent counts for when they have visiting. So no, I don't think there's a home field advantage in LA. I do think it's weird to look at this Vikings-Rams game where you like go to these other 5 games this weekend and you throw them on matchups and breakdowns. And you're like, dude, all these Rams players have the same shit going on as everyone else in LA. It's like the Rams facility is weirdly in a safe spot. Like they're able to practice and everything. But everybody who plays for the Rams, everyone who works for the Rams has the same problems with like getting your family out. It's like crazy to think that you're also planning for a playoff game amid all this. Like it's kind of, I don't know. It's crazy to think that they have to go and play this game.
I know. I have to imagine a lot of people inside the Rams organization are probably affected by these. Like personally, I'm sure
Probably
some of them
literally
live on the
everyone,
west
right?
side. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This is super weird. Very nuts. We should also say that it's kind of weird to pivot to a competition that we're going to do, but we should probably outline this competition before we talk about all the playoff games. Right? We have a fun.
Yeah,
game.
we should have led with what really matters, which is we're gonna
High
do,
stakes.
We're gonna
Yeah.
do. We're gonna bet. We're gonna all keep track of who wins the most playoff games against the spread, and whoever comes in last place is gonna have to sit middle seat in a raw dog of flight with all 3 of us. And that really we should have led with over the Fires.
Hot dog.
We might need to retire Raw Dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's kind of rough that that's become the term. But no, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to pick all the games in the playoffs by the spread. And then we're going to, whoever comes in last, we're going to have to take a middle seat after the Super Bowl. We're right before the Super Bowl, we're going to fly from New Orleans to LA.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit 3 of us in a row. And then the person who comes in last will take the middle seat. And they're not allowed to read anything. They're not allowed to watch anything, not allowed to listen to anything. You have to just sit.
Not allowed
stare
to
at
even
the-
talk to each other.
You know what? Like
if they give you the grace. But
we kind of joked about this like a while ago. We're like, oh, ha, you have to like sit in the middle seat and do not Raw Dog the flight. The more I think about actually having to do that, it does sound quite terrible. Like, I really don't want to lose, like that would really stink. It's a long flight, 4 or 5 hours, just sitting there
Do
staring.
you have a good imagination, Craig?
I'm going to have to.
You're going to have to
I'm going to write an entire script in my head.
I know.
or something
a new
like that.
world of imagination in your brain.
I'm going to go full David Putty.
just stare.
No, I'm
This
fine.
is good. I think this is a good stakes we've come up with because it's always like, oh, the winner is to do this. Now, the person who comes in last having to just stare. Is there anything worse really than being with your own thoughts?
No. It really doesn't sound bad until you actually think about it. If somebody's like, go sit in that chair and stare at the wall for 4 hours, you're like, wow, that actually sounds horrible.
I'm so unprepared.
It's like,
for this.
when people get put in solitary confinement and you lose track of time, you don't understand. Like, you think you've been in there like 17 days. It's been like 6 hours or whatever.
Heifetz,
This is like similar, I feel like.
DK, Heifetz, I want both of you. If I lose, I want you to have a ruler like a nun and slap my wrist if I like pull
Wrap
out
you
my
on the
phone or
wrist.
something.
If you're like looking at our screens and we're watching movies
Yeah.
and you look
Nuts.
over,
If I start to nod off, smack me.
that's good.
What's-
We'll have rulers so the people.
What
in
is the
end will
spread?
contain.
What's the spread on this competition, do you think? Like, who's favored? Should we bet
don't
on
know.
that? Should Kai
Bet
bet on
on-
Well,
Should we
Heifetz?
bet on
Heifetz
win?
can't cheat. Heifetz can't cheat on this one, which is great.
I know.
Yeah, the thing I came in last for, I can't cheat. No, we didn't talk enough about how the thing I was allegedly cheating at, I came in last place.
That was a
It's like that never-
performative last place to
Right.
get people off the
Okay.
scent, and now
Right.
next year you'll dominate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a
Got
pool
it.
shark.
Got it. Yeah, so I'm excited to cheat for this one. Yeah, so we'll go. Wait. Also, before we get off this thing, we mentioned the LA. So there's an LA Times article with all the charities and stuff,
Yeah.
and we're going to tweet that. And that's going to be if Craig just said you said this already, I'm sorry, but like we're just a reminder that will be in the episode description for this pod you're listening to right now, and on YouTube we'll put it in and we'll tweet it out, Instagram, everything. But like we'll have the link. And there's a ton of there's like Red Cross, California Fire Foundation, Canine Rescue Club, Salvation Army, World Central Kitchen. There's so many organizations that are participating. You can kind of just peruse, and it's not paywalled or anything, just on the LA Times, and you can just, pick whatever floats your boat. And there's a ton of organizations that you can help with, and also just general GoFundMe's. So yeah, with that said, do we talk just football? Yeah.
Do we want to start with Rams-Vikings?
Yeah. So the Rams-Vikings that I assume will be played in Phoenix.
Arizona. Yeah.
If
It
not,
should be.
it's going to be like the aerial views of SoFi with like in the distance. That's the way. That's how far it is.
What are you
It's
going
not,
to
like,
show?
near- Yeah,
that's
it's
what's
just
tough is they
smoke.
show the Hollywood sign and they show the Santa Monica Pier.
just
You can't
flames.
really show those anymore.
This is the solution to the fish toss B-roll is that actually everything they would use as B-roll is on fire.
And it's
God.
actually weird because are you going to show footage from like weeks prior when everything's okay? You
No,
can't do that
would
either.
be- No, they can't do that. No, that would be crazy.
That'd be super weird. So I think you just kind of got to go right inside the building.
Maybe that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, we have to move this game because what are we going to shoot around the stadium? Anyway.
True.
So for this game, so the Vikings are at the Rams, which is funny that the Rams are home because the Vikings are a 14-win wild card team, which is crazy.
Wild.
I don't know. Looking at this game again, a turn of mismatch. The Vikings 14-win wildcard team playing a Rams team that I assume, frankly, will have to simplify into what you're best at, because it's not like you're going to have a super the Rams. The things you got to take care of first amid all this is like players, families, and players, and staff, and just keep there's so many logistics with this, especially moving the game, that I assume they'll simplify. This is a huge mismatch. And
that being said, though, why is the line so small?
Well, the Vikings are giving 1.5. I think it's entirely because Darnold played so bad
I think that's right. I think he laid an egg and everybody's worried. And to be honest, the way I think about it, and this might suggest to you where I'm leaning in this bet, because we're betting spreads, but I don't know. McVay, Stafford, Kupp are men. Like these are like battle-tested guys who have been there, won a Super Bowl. I trust them to show up in big moments. They did it last year. I mean, they almost beat the Lions in the playoffs last year. They've been beat up all year. They're finally like the healthiest they've ever been now. And then on the other side of the ball, it's like, I'm not saying that the Rams are men and the Vikings are boys from like a talent standpoint, because that's not the case at all. The Vikings have a better roster. But in terms of experience, Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, it's just a different level of kind of like what you've been through. And there is a little bit of me that is like talent versus experience. I think I'm going to take experience. And so I think I am taking the Rams plus 1.5 in this game.
Interesting. Yeah, this is definitely like the playoffs have a totally different vibe to it. And the playoffs, like it's like going from the preseason to the regular season somewhat in the sense that like everything looks pretty easy in the preseason for teams. And then once you go into the regular season, it's like, oh my God, everything's more complex. Everybody's going faster. Everybody's a little bit better. Everybody's on more.
Expert mode on Madden.
Yeah, it's like it is a very, you can tell, you can like feel it, how different the game feels, especially compared to week 18 when nobody was trying. But like, it's just a different vibe. It is really, I think there's something to what you're saying, Craig, where the experience matters. You don't have to have as many nerves. Like I remember watching the Vikings-Lions game in the pregame, they just showed Darnold warming up. And I was like, I just remember distinctly putting myself in his shoes and being like, man, how fucking nervous do you think he is right now? Like all the hype, all the buildup, like I think when they showed him, it was like the stadium had gone kind of dark and they were like doing all the pregame like light show stuff in Detroit. I was just like, man, being in that had like a very playoff feel to it. And it's going to be even more real here because now if you lose, you go home. So, yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. All that being said, I'm still taking the Vikings. I think like it is a 14-win team over the Rams, who have been, they've been hot lately, but to me, they're more like like their top elite guys carry them, and the rest of the team is sort of just like a little more average. I think the Vikings have a lot more depth.
What are you doing, Heifetz?
I'm taking the Vikings, giving 1.5, and it's weird because I definitely did the thing where I'm like, well, obviously I want the Vikings, and then you're like, well, I'm taking at the core of it Sam Darnold over Matt Stafford, and for all the love we've given Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay is coaching this game, and it's Sean McVay and Matt Stafford versus Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold, and I'm like, I wish I was on the side with Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell. I'm like, the Rams beat the Vikings in week 8. Like the Rams beat the Vikings 30-20.
And that was the first game back with Kupp and Nakua.
And that was the first game back. So I feel a little nervous, but I'm picking the Vikings because I don't want to overreact to Darnold's game last week. I think the Lions hit him really early, but honestly, I think the Vikings are going to win this game.
I just keep looking at what the Vikings did last week, and it was just so many, I don't know if unforced is the right word, but just so many errors in that game that like led them to lose that game. I don't think they're going to do, it was just like a cascading series of events that helped them to essentially get blown out in that game. I just don't see them doing that again. I think if Darnold has, the exact type of game he had last week, then yes, they will lose. But I think he's done a good enough job this year, bouncing back from some of this like mini little slumps that he had during the season, that I'm still confident enough that he'll be, he'll get back to sort of what form we've seen for most of the season.
It's a very fishy spread, and it's why I want the Rams. If you look at the Vikings, since they lost that game to the Rams, they went 9-0 after that until they lost to the Lions. They only played one playoff team in that 9-game stretch, and it was the Packers. They won by 2.
Now you guys are the ones saying the Vikings are frauds. Interesting.
Well, no, I'm with the Vikings.
The tables
but now
turns. That's true. That's
Craig
true,
is saying the Vikings are frauds, and I'm wondering if they're frauds. I am wondering if this is a huge mistake.
like in the same, my philosophy these playoffs are going to be, remember when I was like, oh, my biggest regret, the memento tattoo is like, why did I trust Aaron Rodgers and the fucking Jets? And I'm just like, I'm not gonna go down betting on Sam Darnold to beat Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. You know what? If the Vikings look great and they win 30-10, I'm happy to eat my words on that. But like, if Sam Darnold sucks and Stafford is in Cup and McVay are awesome, I'm gonna feel like an idiot.
And it goes beyond that too, where it's important to note that as good as the Vikings defense has been with Brian Flores, like the aggressiveness of that defense is something that can be really exploited by great quarterbacks. And Stafford's a great quarterback, and that's something that I think has almost been forgotten. I think the Rams as a whole have been like totally, almost like an afterthought. It's kind of crazy. Did they finish like 9-3 on the season? Like the amount of injuries they had in the beginning of the year. I might actually
started out 1-4.
I might live flip flop right now to Rams getting 1.5, which is probably really stupid of me. But I think I'm just being a sucker right now about the vibes of like if the Rams win this game off the Fires going to Arizona, how cool it would be of a story. But I'm also just thinking about everything we've said all season is just like, yeah, good quarterbacks are good. But like I kind of just want Stafford in the playoffs and McVay. And maybe I'm being an idiot, but I'm going to live actually change my pick.
Interesting.
Nice.
And I'm going with the vibes.
This could be the game that determines it all because I feel like we're probably going to be on the same page on a lot of these games.
And here are the rules, though, with this thing. So the way we're doing it, you're going to get a point for every game you get right. And we're going to do a money ball where you can pick a game every round that's worth 3 points. So we all have to pick which one of these games is going to be the money ball.
So the one you're most confident in, essentially.
Correct. So this is no one's money ball, right?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next game here. Okay, so DK, you're taking the Vikings. Craig and I are taking the Rams. I don't know why I did that, but fuck it, vibes. Saturday, the Chargers are at the Houston Texans, and I
wonder where Craig's leaning.
Yeah,
Craig's doing the money ball on CJ Stroud.
I know. Yeah,
let's do it.
Chargers are giving 2.5. Craig, yeah, is this your money ball game, Craig?
It's actually not, but I'm picking the Chargers. And I'm actually fully prepared for Stroud to want to like have a great playoff game and win this game. But I'm taking Harbaugh and Herbert any day over D'Amico and Stroud, even though they're in Houston.
Yeah, same. I'm just curious, like, what's going to change in this game for the Texans that has not been sort of like apparent the last month plus for them. Their offense has just been terrible. Their run game stinks. And I saw this. Nate Tice put together a really interesting preview of the divisional or the wild card round. So you go check that out at Yahoo. But basically, the Texans' run game isn't good. And that results in opposing defenses like higher than like one of the highest rates running 2 high shells against the Texans offense. So it makes it much harder for them to pass deep. So they can't run and they can't pass deep. All that's left is like Stroud being a hero and making like ridiculously tough throws, but he's not been especially good against 2 high shells this year. So I don't know, man. The Chargers run second most 2 high looks. This is like what they're majoring in. This is like what they're good at. They were 9th in defensive DVOA this year. This is really good defense that like plays the type of ball that the Texans struggle with. And so, and then when you flip it over on the other side, it's like, I'm really confident in Herbert. He's been incredible. He's been one of the best players in the NFL, full stop, in play action this year. I just think he's much better at creating big plays. I don't know. I'm picking the Chargers in this one, and I feel pretty good about it. I just think the Texans vibes are awful right now. All this could, of course, look stupid in a couple days, but it feels pretty clear to me that the Chargers have good vibes. They're a much better team. And obviously they're playing in Houston, so that could be a factor, but just feel really good about the Chargers.
I do too. This is my Moneyball game. I'm taking the Chargers, giving 2.5 to the Texans. If I can get Jim Harbaugh less than a field goal to beat Houston, I look at this as the Chargers. And the reason Jim Harbaugh has been good everywhere he's ever gone, including making Stanford a power running team, or taking the Niners, who went to 2 wins or whatever, to like the NFC Championship game. Jim Harbaugh is a detail-oriented guy, and Chargers are like, they're always good teams in situational football. And it's DK, as you just said, all the places where the Texans struggle in situational football, the Chargers are good. The Texans, it's not our imagination. I actually looked it up. The teams who have been third and long the most this year are the Browns at number 1, and then the Texans. Second most third and longs on the season. You know who's amazing in third down and third and long? The Chargers defense is getting off the field. You know who struggles in the red zone? The Texans. You know who's one of the, like I saw this from Bill Barnwell, you know who's one of the best teams, the best team in the NFL at preventing touchdowns in the red zone? The Chargers. It's all situational football. It's as cliche as it is, it's like knowing who you are and your identity, and like there's a clarity of vision that permeates everything the Chargers do in all 3 phases of the game that I don't think the Texans have. And I am going I am going Moneyball on this one. I also think on the other side of the ball, the Texans have this weird thing where Jalen Peter is injured on the defense, and then Jimmy Ward's injured too. Is it Petre? Like Petri dish? I call him Jalen Peter in my head. Well, Jalen Petri dish was Pitre. You don't see that one a lot.
No, it kind of feels French.
Exactly.
Petre.
I actually used to call him Petri, and someone corrected me on that. So now I feel like
maybe it is. I don't think it's Peter.
I called him Petri.
It simply can't be Peter. It has to be Petri.
I called him Jalen Petri, and someone looked at me real like and was like,
but
"That's
I don't think it's Petri like Petri dish. I think it's Petre.
Now I need to look this up.
Well, someone lied to me. Anyway, he's not playing the game. So, but then Jimmy Ward's hurt too. So basically, I feel like the Chargers are going to stick Ladd McConkey in the slot, and they're going to be like, "Do you want to bring Derek Stingley in here? We're out of position, like in the slot, but out of position for Derek Stingley." And you're either taking the Texans' best defensive back out of position, or you're not, and Ladd McConkey's in the slot. So every part of this, maybe this is the Costanza, and people should bet on the Texans because I'm kind of like, I feel really good about the Chargers.
Yeah, if anything, it's going to be the Costanza. But I just, you know what, you have to pick a team. I'm picking the Chargers here. They're going to be my money ball too, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
I just don't feel as confident about any of the other picks, I think.
I can't go I mean, I'm obviously taking the Chargers. They're not my money ball, but I simply, if I picked CJ Stroud after everything I went through this year, and then he lost again, I couldn't live with myself.
I think so it says, according to Pro Football Reference and Wikipedia, it's Petrie.
Yeah.
Oh, so I will not
right.
name them, but
he said Peter.
No,
because
well,
I said Petrie, and then I was told that I was wrong, and maybe they were messing. I don't know. I'm not going to name it.
Like a Petrie.
Got it. Okay.
I thought it was Petre.
Next game here, Steelers are at the Ravens.
I can't wait to hear Craig's take on this.
I know.
Game.
So Baltimore's 2-8 versus the Steelers in the last 10 games.
But the last one that lingers in your mouth. The last
game. It's just
also, but like Lamar was barely playing in those 8 games.
I know. A lot of the games Lamar didn't play. Regardless, 2-8 versus the Steelers last 10 games, and they're 10-point favorite, 9.5-point favorites for the Ravens. Before we even get into it, can you guys imagine if the Ravens lose this game? Like, imagine for a moment if the Steelers win and the Ravens lose, what narratives are going to come out about Lamar and the playoffs? I mean,
I do not want this to happen. I don't want the I don't want the Ravens to lose. First of all, because I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl in our staff picks, which just make me look silly. And that's fine. And I picked them last year and they didn't win. So maybe like I'm just like making up for that this year. This is the year it actually happens. But I just think they're the most complete team right now. Josh Allen is an MVP. He's probably going to win the MVP. Like Joe Burrow put together an insane statistical season. But I just think there's no one playing a more dominant style of football in both the run game and the pass game than Lamar. Like he's literally like one of, if not the most efficient passer in the NFL this year. He led all rushers that had over 150 rushes this year in yards per carry. Like he's the most efficient passer and the most efficient.
Yeah, leading in yards per throw and yards per run is
like ridiculous. Sick. 41 touchdowns to 4 picks, I think it was. Like that is absurd. Remember when they said he should be a receiver? Not they, but there was a very specific person that said he should go to receiver.
Story. That was one person, Bill Polian. He's 90 years old. Like yeah, but just let him go. It was one guy.
You know what though? He wasn't the only one that thought that. Let's be honest. It's just, I think it's cool to see him completely fucking demolish that narrative, like to the point where it's like actually absurd how good of a passer he is. When he gets outside, like when he's like starts running around and getting outside the pocket, I'm like, my first thought is like, oh, he's going to throw a touchdown on this. Like that's the point. That's the point it's gotten with him, where I'm just confident in him.
I just laugh when the Ravens are like, nobody believes in Lamar. I'm like, bitch, you took a 25-year-old tight end before you drafted Lamar in that draft. But no, I know what you're saying.
But I mean, like, I would say even a couple years ago, there was a point where I was like, he is a very dangerous passer. He's very good in the pocket. He's completely underrated as a passer, but also like he misses a lot of wide open guys. And I'm just like, sometimes it got frustrating. The last couple of years though, he's absolutely cleaned that up. He is just like so nails throwing the ball down the field. I think the big thing is he's just going to have to like defeat this narrative of playoff collapses. So I just really, selfishly, because I picked them, I want them to win. Sorry, Craig. I want the Ravens to win, but also just like I don't want to have to listen to those narratives again if they lose.
To be honest, I flip-flopped on this. I have in my making my picks, I have written down both sides. multiple times and crossed them out and changed my thoughts. In the same way that the Ravens are kind of playing better than ever, the Steelers are exactly the opposite. They are playing terribly right now. They can't run the ball. Russ is completely turned into a pumpkin. Even with Pickens back last week, it didn't work. They're basically like the worst first down team in the league. Arthur Smith is getting head coaching interviews. Even Arthur Smith this week talking to the media. I don't know. I get the vibe that Arthur Smith doesn't like Russ and that he likes Fields more, or that he feels like he can do more with Fields. I don't know. He was talking about
a coach not liking Russ.
A coach, Arthur Smith not liking a player.
What really sucks the most is that like the Broncos are having a better Russell Wilson experience right now than the Steelers are. You know, like paying him $40 million to not play is actually better than the Steelers paying them $1 million to play.
When you put it like that,
Russell Wilson is the ultimate. He's the ultimate. I don't know what the right word is for it. It's like it's a catch-22, because in some ways he is one of the more dangerous like quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of like what he can do passing the ball deep, like, you know, rolling out, throwing the ball deep. Like I almost said, I tried to say this earlier, but I kind of like got off track. Like there in the old days, whenever Russell Wilson used to like run a play action pass and like load up to throw it, the instant he started throwing it, I was like touchdown. Like there was a very distinctive feel back in the day, like that was going to happen. And now that to me it's Lamar. When he loads up to throw deep, I'm like touchdown.
Yeah.
But with Russell, he can still do that. But I think he limits and he just closes the playbook so much to the point. This is why coaches don't like him, I think, is that like he can't throw over the middle of the field very well. He holds on to the ball too long. He takes too many sacks. It like really fucks up your game plan when you're always trying to play from third and long. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think he's very limiting and also really explosive and really magical at times. You know what I mean? Like it's like a weird contradiction.
I like that you've used dangerous and limited. You've used both.
Well, both dangerous to the offense.
Mr. Limited. Yeah.
I think so. Barnwell also had a great point. He had a great column this week at ESPN. And the Steelers offense is second to last in expected points added per play in the last month. Like literally, they're the second worst offense in the NFL in the last month, which when you watch
a slog
them,
watching that offense. Yeah.
And everyone's making I think that's always a huge issue for like, you look at a coordinator when everyone's making mistakes, when the quarterbacks, the blockers, the receivers, when everybody is all making multiple mental mistakes in must-win games, it's always bad. But it's not just that the Steelers offense is cratering. It's the Ravens defense is like ascending. The Ravens defense is playing better than ever.
Frankly, they're like one of the best defenses in the NFL, full stop, over the last like 6 or 7 weeks.
Last year, the Ravens defense was the best in the NFL in a couple of years. And then the first 2 months of the season, the Ravens defense was a mess. And then the defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, actually made a pretty ballsy move. And he benched Marcus Williams, who's a safety that they pay almost $20 million a year with the cap. And he benched him and he put in Darius Washington, who basically has had to make the team in training camp for the last 3 seasons. And they also benched Trenton Simpson for Blake Harrison, an outside linebacker, but I think the Washington thing was a bigger deal. But if you look before and after they made those 2 moves, the first 10 weeks of the season, and the Ravens were 28th in EPA per play, like between Dallas and Cincinnati. That's the level of defense Baltimore's playing.
Yeah.
Since week 11, the Ravens are first. Literally the best defense in EPA per play. And it's like, I mean, that's why I picked them to win the Super Bowl in a nutshell. It's now you have everything. Lamar, Derrick Henry. They don't have Zay Flowers in this game, but unless that, frankly, like they'll just play more 2 tight end sets anyway that like throws off the Steelers. Yeah. I don't actually think there's like an X's and O's football diagnosis to justify picking the Steelers. Like if you just knew what you knew about watching these teams in the last 2 months, you would say the Ravens are going to rock them. It's solely just the vibes of I've seen this movie before. These games are usually close. Tomlin, Steelers, ugly, but like, I don't know. Craig, the Steelers kind of get blown out in the playoffs a lot.
Oh my God. If you look at the last, I can't remember the last 4 or 5 Steelers playoff games, they've lost by an average of like 28 points. Like they are getting destroyed in the playoffs. They got murdered by Baker Mayfield, I remember, on the Browns. Like it has been really, really bad.
I mean, just on that note, I couldn't believe the statistic I saw. Only 8 teams have a longer active. I'm sorry, I forgot where I got this, but only 8 teams have a longer active drought without a playoff win. The Broncos, Jets, Raiders, and Dolphins are the AFC ones. I mean, think about that. The Broncos, Jets, Raiders, Dolphins, the only teams with a longer playoff drought.
And they haven't been in the
AFC.
playoffs. That's what sucks is the Steelers are making it and just losing.
Is that the definition of purgatory?
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
Well, the problem is honestly, like I think the Steelers are a really easy team to like game plan against and beat.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's limited, Mr. Limited.
They can't score touchdowns. Russ can't throw over the middle of the field. And honestly, their defense has been a little bit worse the last month of the season.
Okay. All that being said, are you picking the Ravens to cover? It's a 9.5 spread right now.
To be honest, I could see this game being like 40-7.
I also picked this instinctively. Picked the Steelers to cover.
I did
and
too.
then
When I
had the
first
same
saw
thought.
it, I was like 9.5 is. Well, you heard us on the pod last week. We did like the fake guess the lines in 2 seconds. I thought it was like a 3.5 point spread. It was fucking 9.5, and I was like incredibly disrespectful. Division matchup. Most of the time, it's close. It was close when they played the first time this year. Russ got. I think they even fumbled in the second time they played. The game was like going to be closer, and then it kind of got blown out later in the game. But the more I think about it, and honestly, just like Russ, the history of what the Steelers have done in the playoffs the last 5 years, I'm banking a lot on like it's the Steelers, it's Tomlin,
Yes,
and
right.
that doesn't really mean anything anymore.
No,
They've been outscored 73-38 in their last 2 playoff games.
Nah, man, I'm taking the Ravens.
Oh man,
I'm taking the Steelers with the points, but I'll be at this game actually. I'll be covering it. So so I'll be at this game. I live in DC, so I'm actually gonna be covering it.
So you are taking Pittsburgh.
I'm gonna take the Steelers with the points. I'll post some stuff from the game, but I am fully aware.
Damn, am I a coward? Should I have taken the Steelers?
No, because I kind of wonder if I'm being an idiot. It's for everything you think. It's one of those where either way you'll feel dumb. If you pick the Ravens with the points, and then they don't cover and it's close, you're going to be like, have I learned nothing watching football in the last 25 years? Steelers-Ravens games are close. But if I pick the Steelers and the Ravens blow them out, I'm like, yeah, this is like the best team in the league versus like the 16th best team in the league.
Oh my God.
But I'm picking the Steelers for the points.
I wrote down Steelers to cover, and now I'm changing it. I think the Ravens cover. Maybe it's just me leaning into my Super Bowl prediction.
How
you know
many,
what? Fuck it. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out guns blazing. Or
9.5 is just. I'm like, all right, I'll give it.
It's a lot.
Like, yeah, it's
how many
a lot.
players? How many offensive players in this game do you have to rank before you get to a Steelers player?
I would say not as many as you think.
Offensive, you said?
Offensive.
Like skilled players, or including
it's
linemen?
Lamar, Derrick Henry. It's Mark Andrews. I would probably say Zay Flowers. And then if you want to go to the offensive line,
Zay Flowers is out. He's not playing. But Pickens,
Fair.
I think Pickens is
still good. He's just kind of in very weird place right now.
I think we nailed it when we said George Pickens is not a top 5 receiver. He's a top 5 receiver of the football. But everything else that entails being a professional is greatly lagging behind his ability to just nearly catch a football with his hands. Even his feet are behind. I don't know what he's doing.
I have a question about this game. Do you think that the Steelers are going to come out and like use Justin Fields a bunch, just kind of randomly to like throw people off?
They should.
I would be surprised if he doesn't get multiple touches in this game. Like I said,
just come in and have him try and spark the run game at the very
they
least.
should.
They should. I completely agree. Arthur Smith was like, look, man, it's the playoffs. If we don't pull out all the stops, I don't know what we're doing. This is the time to, pull out the kitchen sink.
It's like running their normal offense just doesn't work.
So he hurt his hamstring at the end of October, and I think that's why. Do you remember that Steelers-Washington game where he came in to ice the game? They used him to literally end games in the most important drive, like to seal it. So I do think actually they will throw that look. Because frankly, they got nothing else going on. Like there's nothing like it is George Pickens' prayers. It's Mike Williams. It's Calvin Austin. But the Ravens are not going to give up. You're not going to give Russ those shots on the outside. They're going to just make the middle of the field wide open, stop the run, and be like, "Go ahead, Russ, hit a fucking dig for once in your life."
All right,
anyway,
so DK and I are taking the Ravens minus 9.5.
I don't feel
taking the
confident
Steelers
about
with
this,
10 points. Yeah. Okay.
I just keep thinking
9.5
about that.
though. It's 9.5, not 10.
Yeah, sorry, 9.5. You're right. I'm rounding.
I just keep thinking about the the Ravens winning 31-2 over the Texans, and I'm just like, I know it's a different team, but
that was what is that? That's 29, right? 31 minus 2.
Yeah.
We should talk. That's a good. Actually, is like if I did the alt line, would you rather have Ravens minus 22 or Steelers giving 6?
Wait, what? Why is Steelers giving 6?
Because I did the math wrong in my head. I was trying to move it move it like 13, like 12 in either direction. Like
Wouldn't it be-
the Ravens win by more than 3 touchdowns, or the Steelers win by like 8. What would you rather have?
Ravens won by more than 3
Ravens.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
See, that's not even close. It's not even a question.
Ravens are very good. Like, I agree
it's
with
not
you.
even a
After the
question.
Chiefs and the Lions, they're probably my third pick to win the Super Bowl.
All right, so now we're on the Sunday games. The Broncos are at Buffalo. The Bills are giving 8.5, which, again, the Bills giving less points to Bo Nix and Denver than the Ravens are giving to the Steelers is an indictment of everything the Steelers got going on. This is Denver's first playoff appearance in 9 years since the Super Bowl they won.
Wow.
Worst stretch in Broncos history is now over. The Broncos, I would confidently say, end of Peyton Manning through the Russell Wilson era is the worst stretch in the history of the Broncos, and now they're in a wholly different era. I have strong thoughts in this game. I'm curious. I don't know how you guys feel, but
Heifetz, you taking Denver?
No, I'm taking the Bills. But I do
Okay.
think that Broncos could make it a game. I do think the Broncos could make it a game.
I'm taking the Broncos to cover.
To cover?
Yeah.
Why?
I think they keep it close. I think the Broncos defense is just so good. And it goes back to what I said, at the beginning of the show, basically, like, playoff football is different. It's just so different than the regular season in so many different ways. Both of these teams are built to kind of like go down in the mud and wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, just have a bunch of long developing possessions where you have like 10 or 11 plays, like run the clock. The Bills, this year have kind of changed their identity. Now they're a very strong running team, and they're very dedicated to that. I was looking up the NFL Pro, by the way, has some great like packages and stats and stuff that you can look at prior to the games. And both of these teams have like basically had some of the most healthy offensive lines all season. If you look at both of these teams, Broncos O-line is 97% of their snaps have been played by like the main 5 guys on their offensive line, which is like unheard of. So that's a massive advantage. And 3 of them, Garrett Bowles, Luke Wanberg, and Quinn Miners are like among the best in the NFL at giving up pressure. So like this is a really good offensive line for the Broncos. They're going to try and run the football. They're going to try and do a bunch of their stuff where they're throwing screen passes and easy button stuff that can kind of like get the ball rolling. Did you know that? I saw this stat also from NFL Pro. Bo Nix this year has 7 touchdowns on passes behind the line of scrimmage. Like Sean Payton is so good at scheming up screens.
It's Oregon all over again.
It is really like very similar to Oregon in terms of like right now, Bo Nix has 743 yards, which is the 4th most in the NFL on passes behind the line of scrimmage, and 7 touchdowns, which is the most. 26% of all of his total attempts this year are behind the line of scrimmage. So, and I think it's more than just like, we spam passes behind the line of scrimmage. It's sequencing. It's the way that you present the offensive formation to the defense. It's like, when you're expecting a blitz or whatever, designing a perfectly timed screen. It's like, I think there is an element where Sean Payton's very good at this also, in terms of like,
he's more than very good. I'd say
right. They
one of the
time it
best.
perfectly, and they're good at blocking. They've got buy-in from all their receivers on blocking down the field. Marvin Mims, 503 yards this season. 96% of those yards, 484 yards, are after the catch, yards after the catch. So it's like they're scheming up ways to get him the football and let him run after the catch. And it's like incredible. 96%
That's the
of
running
his yards.
That's what people mean when they were like, it's passes as runs. It's 96% yards after the catch. That's what.
And
that
he's
is.
actually more than any other player in the NFL this year, more than any other receiver in the NFL this year, lined up in the backfield. He is kind of like a Randall Cobb type of player this year for them.
I think he's faster than Randall Cobb ever was. But I mean, Marvin Mims is a legit player. Like, he had the most yards in the history of high school Texas football, which is insane.
Right.
But I think, to your point though, DK, I think I have the Bills to cover, but I think if there is a team that could upset one of the big teams this weekend, I think the Broncos could win, because I think everything you're saying, the Broncos, I think this is actually a really bad matchup for both defenses. I think both defenses were built to stop different kinds of teams. Like, the Bills built their defense to stop Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs from having big plays, to stop like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens from having big plays. And they're basically like, the Bills literally were just built everything. Like, okay, Mahomes, go dink and dunk your way down the field. And the Broncos' entire offense was built to dink and dunk down the field. Like, they are like the cliche of like, take what the defense gives you. The Broncos were built to take what the Bills' defense has generally offered. And so that, to me, there's like a structural it's just a good. The Broncos are just well shaped to win this game. I don't think they will, but to me, I think I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos actually can control that side of the ball. And then you shorten the game with the running and everything. You just need to make a few mistakes.
I know it's like I'm like the way that the Broncos can cover and or win in this game is like play good defense, clamp down on the receivers, make the Bills run the ball. I guess prevent explosive plays and maybe get like a turnover or two, and that would be the big difference. But like I look at the Bills, it's like I think they've turned the ball over like one of the fewest times in the NFL. Like they're one of the least turnover teams in the NFL, which is crazy when you think about like Josh Allen used to be known as this kind of crazy wild horse that you never know what you're going to get. Now he's actually protecting the football better than just about anybody. So I don't know. I'm picking the Broncos to cover because I think they'll keep it close, but I do think the Bills will win.
Craig, who are you picking?
I'm taking the Bills to cover. I'm debating making it my money ball pick. It's either this or one other game. Can I decide that at the end?
Yeah. Here, well, let me say one other thing here because here's my pushback though, because on the Broncos, I think the Broncos. The Broncos defense has been cracked at certain times. Like when they lost Riley Moss, Jameis Winston threw for 500 yards against them. And I think one of the reasons the Broncos are good is they play man coverage a lot. That's not like the way to beat Josh Allen because for a variety of reasons. Number one,
because he can run.
And like the man coverage, it's like, oh, they turn your back to him. It's like in Madden. If you have a mobile quarterback and they run, it's like you just run and there's nothing you can do. Also, one of the reasons you can play man coverage, Patrick Surtain, probably the defensive player of the year, like man coverage, lockdown a receiver. It doesn't matter versus the Bills. Like the Bills are not
don't
reliant.
have anybody really.
It's not AJ Brown. It's not like some alpha receiver that without him, the offense doesn't function. It's the opposite. Josh Allen, the whole season was premised on the idea he's going to spread the ball around. I think they're the only team in the NFL that has thrown a touchdown to 13 different players. Like I think that the Broncos' strengths on defense are nullified. The other one, the Broncos led the league in sacks. The Broncos led the league in quarterback pressures. But pressuring Josh Allen does not lead to sacking Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen,
that's a great point.
And that to me is the whole crux of the game is the Broncos will probably be able to get pressure, but can they actually force sacks and hit Josh Allen? This is another Barnwell stat. I could not believe this one. Not only is Josh Allen's the lowest sack rate in the NFL, like when he's pressured, he never gets sacked.
Pressure to sack rate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe this. This is Bill Barnwell to ESPN. The average quarterback sees his quarterback rating decline by almost 34 percentage points when pressured.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's QBR is more than 12 points better when he is pressured. Josh Allen finished.
It's like in pool. I'm better when I'm drunk.
Yeah, and this is the ESPN. It's true. This is the ESPN one that's on a scale of 100. Josh Allen finished with the highest quarterback rating under pressure in a season since ESPN began tracking the metric in 2009.
Oh, he's had a great year.
Because when he has to move, it's like he's just as good mobile as he is in the pocket. And so it's like now he can either run or be an awesome quarterback. So it's like that's actually even worse.
Yes. So I think basically I actually think the Broncos do have a path to like move the ball in the Bills, but I don't think the Broncos' vaunted defense is going to be so vaunted against the superhero.
Again, this is another like, what am I going to feel dumb about the next day? I'm going to bet on the MVP, Josh Allen, the guy who I want to win the Super Bowl the most, who I think has been the best quarterback in the league all year. And honestly, Denver's been awesome and very fun to watch and a great story. They haven't beaten anybody this year. They're 1-6 versus playoff teams. They've won 10 games. Here are the teams they've beaten: Colts, Browns, Raiders, Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Raiders, Jets, Bucks in week 3. That's it. Those are the only teams they've beaten. They have lost to the Steelers, the Seahawks, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Chargers again, and the Bengals. They are kind of in that perfect spot of they beat the bad teams and lose to the good teams. And Bo Nix, rookie on the road against the Bills. I know that's like a very basic narrative, but like even if it's 8.5 points, I am happy to lay that with Josh Allen.
So you're taking Bills minus 8.5. Yeah. DK, you're taking the Broncos plus 8.5, and I'm going to.
I don't feel very good about it after Craig's impassioned defense right there, but yeah.
So I will say before we move on, we're basically all agreeing that the AFC favorites will hold, which would mean that the second round of the AFC playoffs would be Chiefs Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert, and then you would have Ravens Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen.
Ooh wee!
Wow.
Josh Allen, Lamar, Herbert versus Mahomes. Which team is going to fuck that up for us so we can't see it?
Ooh, good question.
Texans
Texans maybe? No.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if the Broncos win.
And then, it'd be funny if the Broncos win, then they would play the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, they beat 38
and
to nothing.
They fucking beat the
weeks
Chiefs.
ago.
Yeah, and they probably should have beaten the Chiefs actually earlier in the season.
Yeah.
So that'd be funny.
Kick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I should bet that. Maybe we should bet Broncos to win the AFC Championship right now.
Just bet it right now. Broncos make the Super Bowl. Honestly, man. All right. So the other games here on Sunday, the Packers are at the Eagles. Eagles are giving 4.5 points. This is a weird game. So Jalen Hurts was in concussion protocol for a couple weeks. He practiced on Wednesday. We're recording this Thursday. Technically, is not cleared concussion protocol yet. He's going to play in the game. I'd be stunned if Jalen Hurts did not play. He has not practiced until yesterday.
It's not up to him.
He's playing.
He's going to fucking play. Like
Big Dom's going to do something.
He got concussed 2 weeks ago, not 1 week ago.
All right.
The mechanisms of power and money and incentives involved are still too strong for, frankly, one doctor to say, Jalen, you're still too concussed. He's fucking playing in the game. Like, he wanted to play last week.
You sound like Big Dom to that doctor.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
fucking playing in the game.
Big Dom's going to break his fucking
I don't
legs.
care about your degree. That wasn't a good Philly accent.
That was like JFK.
That was,
Yeah, you did JFK for Big Dom.
I don't care about your degree.
Can you give me JFK negotiating for the football that AJ Brown threw in the stands with the fan?
You give
me
the
10 on the
ball.
keys, first touchdown pass.
You piece of shit. You can't do anything with that football. That is important to the city of Philadelphia and the city of brotherly love.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, Hurts is going to play. If he doesn't, DK, you could totally victory lap. But I'm
not trying to victory lap or anything. I just feel like it's not really in his hands. Like the guys get into the concussion protocol, and sometimes it lasts longer than you think it will. I don't know.
Yeah, in October it lasts longer than you think it will. There's no. The Eagles are worth $9 billion. There's no fucking way he's not playing in this game. No.
All right.
Big
Jordan Love, meanwhile, might not play either.
Yeah. I was going to say Big Dom was going to, if anything, Big Dom would probably slap Jalen Hurts on the helmet and be like, you're good. Get out there.
Yeah, exactly. But the flip side, though, the Packers, Jordan Love, I don't know. I think he will too, but he has a sore throwing elbow. Said he's hopeful he will play. I think he does. He better because. What did I say?
No. I'm saying this feels like gamesmanship. I think he's like fine.
Probably, but like he better because when he got hurt last week, he got pulled. Malik Willis went in. Malik Willis, the backup, hurt the thumb on his throwing hand, and he's hurt. So if Jordan Love better play. I think it's more. God. I think Jordan Love plays too. I think it's less will he play. I think it's more like, is your elbow compromised? Like, is he going to be? I mean, Jordan Love's whole thing is, Baker. He
ripping
passes, and it's like Jordan Love isn't able to rip passes. Everything changes, and on top of that, Christian Watson tore his ACL, so he's out for the season. I mean, he's out for
such a bummer,
a long time. And then Jair Alexander, the top cornerback, he's not going to play in the playoffs. So, like, the Packers are, I think, the poster child of this is what it looks like when you are not a healthy team in the playoffs. Like, they are just already walking in real hurt.
This game to me is the perfect example of, like, anytime people complain about, like, quarterbacks getting calls and blah, 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 like, they're protecting quarterbacks too much. I'm like, okay, well, let's have a playoff game with fucking backup quarterbacks. That's better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we need our quarterbacks to be healthy. Like, period. I don't care.
Do you think that when Jalen Hurts returns from concussion protocol, he'll still be a human battering ram in the tush push where they just basically treat it like shove his like face into like 300-pound guys? And
yes.
I guess you can't keep having to do that. I don't know. This was the second game of the season in week 1, which it's almost like unrepresentative of anything, right? It was like the Brazil game, the turf was
so long
crazy.
ago.
Slip and slide.
It's almost, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but it feels kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like that.
Not irrelevant, but like I don't think about it at all.
No, and
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It has been difficult for me to talk myself into the Packers in this one, other than the combination of Matt LaFleur out coaching Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, frankly, playing without being recovered from a concussion and making some like processing mistakes. It's hard for me to talk myself into Green Bay.
I agree. I 5 weeks ago, I think I felt about the Packers how I feel about the Ravens now, where I felt like they were peaking at the right moment. And it was like, actually, the Packers are the sneaky team in the NFC. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. This was the other, I'm taking the Eagles minus 4.5. This is the other game I'm debating with my lock. The tough part about this is, the Christian Watson injury really affects his team from like an explosive play standpoint. I think just like top to bottom, the Eagles might have the best roster in the NFL. This is the healthiest they've been all year on offense, basically. I think the A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, and Saquon have only played 112 snaps together this year, and they are playing all in this game. The tough part is like, man, the Packers have really done a good job this year. They have only lost to the Vikings, Lions, and Eagles this year. That's it.
It's pretty impressive.
Those are three really good teams. So that's a little spooky to me, but Love's elbow, Christian Watson being hurt, Jair Alexander being out, they're just banged up. I don't love the Eagles in general. I just think like the vibes can switch with that team so quickly. Like they could lay an egg in the first quarter and then everything starts to go downhill. But the talent is I think weighs heavily on Philadelphia's side. So I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah. I'm just too unimpressed with Green Bay's defensive line. I think that the defense has been pretty solid actually for Green Bay and they've like actually really done a good job.
They've been really good,
big plays recently, but I think the Eagles' offensive line is of a different caliber.
Jalen Hurts is so weird. Jalen Hurts can have games like I'll never forget. We went to that Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and I thought he played one of the best games I've ever seen a quarterback play. I was like, this guy is the next thing. He is unbelievable. He didn't miss a throw the whole night. And then there's other games where you watch him and you're like, should this guy be a starter?
Well, I think Jalen Hurts is the new Russell
Eagles
Wilson.
fans probably have the same internal dialogue.
I mean?
Right?
Jalen Hurts, I think, is the new Russell Wilson, where he has an athleticism and a style of play that allows him an unorthodox thing. But the reality is we're on, how many offensive coordinators have the Eagles had with Jalen Hurts? 3 or 4? It's the same fucking offense.
Steichen, Kellen Moore, and now... And then
it's all the same offense.
More, right?
It's like Zoolander. Remember, we said this about what we used to be about Russell Wilson, like
exactly
Blue
like
Steel,
yeah.
Magnum, like they're all the same look. It's like they're all the same offense in Philadelphia. Like, clearly, Latigra, like they're all the same. And like I don't know, Jalen Hurts. I think there's a specific kind of offense and style that he likes and prefers and feels comfortable in, and that is what the Eagles run for better and for worse. And when they are absolutely fucking dominant on the offensive line and have a healthy A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, that's one thing, but yeah, I when everyone's healthy, that's one thing. But I think
I also like I don't know if I am at the point with Jordan Love where I'm like, well, if you're going up against Jordan Love, like anything can happen. Like he's that good. Where like how I feel about Matt Stafford playing the Vikings, where I'm like he is that good. I think he can win the game on his own. I don't know if I feel that way about Jordan Love just yet.
I agree,
especially with an elbow injury.
It's the Rodgers and Favre both sitting on his devil shoulder, and they're both out. And like Favre's like, chuck into the triple coverage. And Rodgers is like, take a sack.
Yeah. So where are you guys at?
I'm going to take the Eagles as well,
which
makes me nervous that we're all doing the same thing. The main thing I'm looking at is like with Christian Watson out, this is from NFL Pro, Jordan Love's man coverage yards per attempt is essentially half when Christian Watson is out versus when he's in. And his explosive play rate is 5 times higher when Christian Watson's in than when he's out. And so they're going to, and by the way, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL at limiting explosive plays. So they're going to have to dink and dunk. They're going to have to run the hell out of the ball. And they're going to have to play really disciplined, I think, to win. And Jordan Love, I mean, I like him. I think he's a very good player, a very good thrower, and he can like hit some incredible throws. But like, I don't know if like super disciplined is the way I would describe him.
And it's not like Jalen Carter, who's one of the 5 best defensive tackles in the league now, like running in his face 1 second of the play is going to really help.
It's just the Eagles are just good.
Yeah. Okay, so next game here. This is the last of the weekend. This is Sunday Football. Washington is at Tampa Bay. The Bucs are giving 3. I feel like at its simplest, I think the Buccaneers are a better team, but I do think Jaden Daniels is the best player in this game.
Yeah. I picked the Commanders in this one. I'm going back to the team of destiny thing that we were talking about at the beginning of the year. I also just think Jaden Daniels against this defense in particular, like, look, the Buccaneers won the first time they met this year. That was in week 1, which is like a lifetime ago. But the Buccaneers basically are the most blitz happy team maybe ever. Like in the modern era, this was another thing that Nate was writing on late downs from week 12 on. So like the last 6 or 7 weeks, the Buccaneers have blitzed 67% of the time. Like you can almost just expect almost every down is going to be every third down is going to be every fourth down is going to be a blitz.
Math guy, that's 2/3 of the time.
That's a lot. And by the way, Jaden Daniels has been very good against the blitz this year. especially as a scrambler. He's basically been like the most dangerous scrambler in the NFL this year. And this is something we've talked about all season. Just their ability to convert third and fourth downs with Jaden Daniels is scrambling. He just makes
Daniels
it look
has
so
more rushing
easy.
first downs than Joe Mixon this season.
It's insane. Yeah, he has 20 first downs on third and fourth down. They're 20 out of 23 on fourth down this year. This is like another version of the tush push.
Dude,
and I just
that's
think
my
it's
favorite
so
stat
hard.
of the season. They're better on fourth down. Washington is better on fourth down this season than Michael Jordan is from the free throw line.
It is insane. So I think the Buccaneers, it's just going to be an interesting chess match because what are the Buccaneers going to do? Are they going to continue to blitz at an insane rate and just hope to like kind of mush rush him and keep him in the pocket? I don't know if that even works because he's just so fast. But I think that's it's a really interesting like chess match, how they're going to deal with that because Jaden Daniels has been really good scrambling against the blitz and just making you pay for sending too many guys because then you have one less guy out in coverage. If he can escape, there's a lot of yards to be had there. And so I'm basically just betting on Jaden Daniels in this game. I do like the Buccaneers. Honestly, it's like not anything against Buccaneers. I think Mayfield's been awesome this year. I love their offensive scheming and their offensive weaponry, but and Bucky Irving and the screen game is amazing, but I don't know. I'm just going with Jaden Daniels, like the magic he brings.
I agree. I'm taking the Commanders +3 as well.
Wow.
I'm surprised the spread was 3, to be honest. I thought it was going to be 2.5. 3, I like a lot. You know what's a sneaky part of this game to me that matters is that this is a Marshon Lattimore versus Mike Evans game.
Dude, it's the fifth
Oh,
one.
right.
This might be the fifth fight.
And like, I don't know if you have the stats, but Mike Evans usually significantly underperforms when he goes up against Marshon Lattimore.
I have the stats, and I also went back and watched all the Mike Evans, Marshon Lattimore fights. If you guys
Look
want.
at you.
So, just for those who don't know, so Marshon Lattimore, cornerback for the Saints, they had a fight forever, and he was traded to Washington halfway through the season. Has not played. Like he played 2 games.
This is going to be his first game.
2.5 months. And yeah, he hasn't. And then he came back after like 6 weeks, and then played 2 games, and then he hasn't played a few weeks. I think Marshon Lattimore will play in this game. So I watched all the fights. But if you don't know,
I feel like Netflix should be the next big one. They should just get Lattimore and Mike Evans.
Mike Evans and Lattimore. You know what it is? It reminds me. It is true that players are too friendly now, and it makes me realize how much I love when 2 players absolutely fucking
Need more
hate each
in
other.
this country.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean this when I say it, and tell me. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you think if there's other people I'm missing. I don't think 2 players in the entire league hate each other more than Mike Evans and Marshon Lattimore. I think there's more hatred between these 2 people than anyone I can think of. Outside of that Jalen Ramsey fight with Golden Tate, but that involved someone's sister.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like personal. But this one, so the stats, just to go with the stats here first. Mike Evans has been held under 15 receiving yards in his entire career 9 times. 9 games under 15 yards. Half of them, more than half, were against the Saints. Like, that's crazy. Like, four, one was without Lattimore, but 4 of the 9 are just when Marshon Lattimore was playing.
What's the
Mike
tennis
Evans.
analogy? Isn't it like Rafi is like unbeatable on clay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he beat Federer like on clay every time, but like when they were on other things on normal court that he like lost every time. I'm obviously not a huge tennis fan, but like I remember thinking that's just such an interesting variable, and it's like this is the same deal with when you're going up against Marshon Lattimore for whatever reason, he just can't play him.
Yeah, the new movie
such like an
at Wimbledon.
antidote.
Yeah, the number 1 tennis player in the world, the number 1 women's tennis player in the world, just cannot play at Wimbledon. She keeps losing in like the second round.
It's like it's bizarre.
But so this one honestly, it's even better than I thought going fat. I was wondering if we would overhype this. The first one back in 2017, Jameis Winston poked Marshon Lattimore in the back when it was like with the Bucks. And then so Marshon Lattimore turns around and shoves Jameis Winston a little bit. And Mike Evans comes in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like a haymaker.
WWE, total cheap shot, like blindside, absolutely knocks Marshon Lattimore to the ground. Brawl, like, you don't touch my quarterback. And then it was always...
Don't ever touch my puck. Don't touch my puck.
I hate that clown.
And then so it was always contentious after that. But then a few years later, this was the first season with Brady. There was like a lot of shoving after the play. And then I think there's like Mike Evans and Lattimore getting a little, chippy. And then Mike Evans turns around. And then Lattimore, when Mike Evans back to him, Marshon Lattimore then shoves Mike Evans in the back as soon as he turns around. And Mike Evans like turns around And you know when we're always like, why would you hit someone with a helmet on?
Yeah.
Mike Evans slaps Marshon Lattimore's helmet off his face. I've never seen, he like hits the helmet off Marshon Lattimore. And then 2 years later, Lattimore got in Tom Brady's face, and and then a bunch of guys were like doing you can't talk. And you know, like there's like a line forms of guys yelling at each other, and like they're all kind of standing around. Mike Evans breaks through the line and like just tackles Marshon Lattimore. It's just like, oh my God. Dude,
what's the video game thing that the meme? It's like Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, Leroy Jenkins. That really, Mike Evans, Leroy Jenkins. The amount of effort Mike Evans has gone through to beat the shit out of this guy, I do kind of want that to swing the game.
This is great. If they met like in a hotel lobby, would they be like at each other's throats? Like, or is this like partially, just for show? Like this is an entertaining business or an entertainment business.
No, I think it's like in a Western, and they see each other and they stop, and the bird crows, and they put their hand on their guns.
Like, tumbleweed goes by.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's tough because Mike Evans, on one hand, everyone's like so happy to see him, and I'm wondering, does he know he's going to be the bigger person? And it's like, dude, you can't get ejected for fighting Marshon Lattimore. Like,
and if you're Marshon Lattimore, it's like, look, Mike Evans is probably more valuable to the Bucs than I am to the Commanders.
So like 1,000%.
He should just antagonize the shit out of him. And, Lattimore
just do the Dennis Rodman thing. Just go out and try and get the guy fouled out.
100%.
Ejected.
This is my take. I actually don't understand why that cornerbacks don't start fights more, because you should, like, if you get them to retaliate, you're both out. Isn't your job to take them out of the game? Like, yeah, if Lattimore honestly, if Evans gets in a fight,
include that in your lockdown numbers.
If Evans gets in a fight, it's gonna be real awkward.
He had 0 extra yards after that.
If you can get another player on the other side ejected, that's a skill, honestly.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. So
he does that thing where like if you set the tone early and are extra physical early, the refs can't call it every time. And I feel like Lattimore does that.
It's a Richard Sherman special.
Totally. It's like by the second quarter, they've like fought 4 times and they're not ejected yet. And Mike Evans can't get open because they're just fighting on the sideline.
Don't worry, guys. I'm sure Baker Mayfield will keep everyone's heads calm. Like Baker's going to be the voice of reason.
I'm just picturing, like I feel like this is like the most common move in an NFL fight where like a guy will just grab your face mask and you can't get it. You can't like get away from that. It's like the most like, it's like your older brother, like pushing on your head while you try and punch him. Yeah. It's like if someone grabs your face mask, you're like, God damn it, I can't fucking move.
I love watching Aaron Donald, but he was the dirtiest motherfucker I've seen in quite some time. Like in a few years,
saying that. Yeah.
He was like the most like no one grabbed more face masks and didn't get called for like after the play was over, like just standing around. And Aaron Donald's just like
Seahawks
poking
fans,
eyes and grabbing masks.
You are speaking my language. Seahawks fans forever just hate Aaron Donald. Obviously, incredible player, one of the greatest players of all time. But like
such a bully.
I fucking hated that guy.
Dude, I was so happy. The Giants, in one of the many Giants seasons where they were bad, I had so much pride because I forget what offensive lineman it was for the Giants. It might have been Andrew Wiley. I forget who it was, but someone like a backup center, like Aaron Donald did that and like tried to like take the backup center's face mask and shove him out. And the guy just fucking shoved Aaron Donald to the ground. And I was like, fuck yeah, give me 15 yards. Fuck that guy.
Aaron Donald, man, that guy was insanely good.
Yeah, he was good at football.
So sorry, who are you picking, Heifetz?
Dude, I'm taking Washington too. I'm a little nervous on that. I kind of think we should take the Bucs, who are like clearly a better team without a rookie quarterback. So now I'm like,
this could be your opportunity to make up ground or whatever, or like,
you know what? I'm going to take the Bucs. You know why?
Run for the win here if you take the Bucs.
I'm going to take the Bucs. You know why? This is a win-win for me because I just wrote a big story, shameless plug for theringer.com where on Washington. And so if Washington advances and I'm in this city, it's like kind of fun.
Yeah, you've been in the Washington, Heifetz, you've been in the Washington locker room the last a couple of weeks or whatever. How's the vibes? What's the vibes like? Confident? Like,
honestly,
are they relaxed?
The vibes are that Jaden Daniels is a motherfucking superhero, and everyone's kind of like, "This is sick that we have."
That's kind of where I am.
Like, and that really is the vibe. The term "house money" always kind of bothers me at the playoffs. So like, they have nothing to lose, but it's more like, wow, we didn't really know we'd be here. This is kind of cool, and like, there is a freedom that comes with that.
No pressure.
I just really think that we talk about it ad nauseum, but Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert and Joe Burrow, I think those 5 quarterbacks are so good. And obviously more so with Lamar and Josh and Mahomes. That's more the top 3. And Burrow can be there too. But just the ability they have to make the plays with their legs. That's why I'm leaving Burrow out. Like the ability to make plays with your legs and your arm, and it's like
just feels so impossible.
You can do anything, and it's like even with Burrow, it's not like Burrow's the scrambler Mahomes is, and it's like what the fuck are you supposed to do? And you always feel like at the end of the game, if they're there, you're going to lose the game if that guy's over there. And I really do think Jaden Daniels is the first rookie I've ever watched, probably since Andrew Luck, where I feel that way. Where it's like, even the games they did lose, it's like the Cowboys needed that Kevontae Turpin punt, like kick return where he fumbled it and returned. Like Jaden Daniels, the Eagles game, he came back and won. The Falcons game, he came back and won. The Bears Hail Mary, with part of a pattern. The Bengals game in week 3. Like, I mean, again, and that Cowboys game where he led back, and then they had the kick return touchdown and took the lead back. But it's like, this motherfucker led like 6 game-winning drives inside the final, like 2 minutes of the season this year. He's a rookie.
He never stopped smiling.
No, and he's like the poise, the calmness. He has all these traits that, frankly, are disgusting for a rookie to have. Like it just, I don't know. So I do think there's that belief. Frankly, team is deeply flawed in a number of ways, like a lot, and that's why I'm fine.
Hopefully, they don't have to throw a deep bomb to Lamar Zaccheaus this time.
It's like the
double
Bucs.
throw.
The Bucs are a better team, but like
this is the game beatable. I feel the least confident in, to be honest, because the Bucs are good and frisky, and they're good in the playoffs. They were good last year.
I know, and I like the Bucs. This was hard for me because I like the Buccaneers too.
I might be getting too caught up in the Jaden fun.
We'll see. I mean, I might be dumb picking the Bucs here. I kind of look at it as like it's win-win because either Washington wins and it's kind of fun for them to keep going, or I get a game on you guys. So,
I mean, last year the Bucs beat the Eagles in the playoffs, right? And then they didn't almost beat the Lions, but they made it a game. It
was closer than the score indicates because the Bucs got 2.
They only lost by 8.
They lost by 8. And I think it was 16, and they actually went. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. I think they got the touchdown and the 2-point, and it
was tied in the fourth quarter.
They had the ball, and they could have done it, and the Baker they were closer than the score would indicate. Frankly, it was loud. Like the fans kind of really, it was really loud. Like the Bucs kept getting flags related to the noise.
Do I take the Bucs? If it was 2.5, I think I would take the Bucs, but 3, I think I'm going to stick with the Commanders. And by the way, I think my money ball. I'm going to take Buffalo over Denver.
Buffalo's your money ball. My money ball's Chargers to be the Texans. DK, what did you pick?
Chargers.
Just tail on mine? Fine. Okay.
Well, I made my choice early.
Well, you said you didn't. That's okay. Okay, so we'll do that. And again, loser gets, at the end of the 3 rounds, loser's going to get middle seat. Leaving New Orleans. Raw dog in that flight.
Backseat, middle seat, feet on the hump.
What?
You know what I'm going to do?
Backseat, middle, feet on the hump. You know, in the old cars, how they used to have a hump?
No.
It's like I think it's like the transmission or something was there. You guys are too young for this, I think.
Oh, actually, my mom has this old car. yes, I do know the hump in the. Wow, yes.
I don't know. I don't know cars. I don't know what's in there, why that hump is there, but
I actually do know what you're talking about.
I think if I lose
Craig's like,
the middle seat competition, I'm going to self-sabotage you two, or I'm going to sabotage you two by popping my shoes off. You can't stop me doing that.
We'll duct tape them to your feet.
I'm going to stink up that row.
Dude, that's not fair.
Yeah, I won't shower for 2 days.
Well, then if you do that, I'll just take off my shoes so that you have to live with my stink.
Craig's playing, you're just playing Steelers football right there. Drag you down into the mud.
No, DK, we will not be intimidated. You have to do mutually assured destruction. If you take your shoes off, we take our shoes off, but at least we can distract ourselves from the smell. Then you'll have to sit there and smell all three pairs of feet.
That's fine. You can't distract yourself from the smell. It's not with my feet and your feet and DK's feet. You'll be screwed. You'll pass out probably. Hopefully, actually that's my plan.
Craig, do you have terribly smelling feet?
No, I don't. But I was figuring out ways to sabotage you guys, and smell was the first thing that crossed my mind. I'll have to think of others.
Craig's just coping. He's trying to figure. He's just afraid of coming in last and having to be alone with his own.
I'm going to win. Don't worry. I'm going to get first. Did
what do we do in an event of a tie?
We agreed on 3 of these games. We're not going to tie. Somebody.
The money ball is going to be a differentiator.
So we agreed on the Eagles game. We all took the Eagles. We all took the Chargers. I believe those are our only 2.
Should we do a Costanza parlay where we bet all the games we agreed on? Like we just probably just Texans getting 2.5, and
we should bet the Texans. Like Stroud's going to throw for 400.
We all are like they have no chance. Like that. That's the true nature of the Costanza.
That's actually a really good call.
We got away from it. The true nature of the Costanza is when against the spread, we're like that team has no chance. That's what a Costanza.
When it's a 2.5 point spread and we're like the losing team has no shot, that's a Costanza.
Yeah, we definitely have a shot. That's okay. The other thing I want to hit here. So the Raiders fired Antonio Pierce, the head coach, like a couple days after
These
everyone else
delayed
did.
firings. This is so they can't get killed in the media. They're just kind
I
of
know.
leaking it slowly.
It's kind of smart.
Or maybe you know how Tom Brady puts out his like content in the NFL on like Thursdays? Maybe like he just has all his NFL thoughts.
His Wednesday power rankings, I love those.
Yeah, Wednesday power rankings where you could watch that and have no idea he had ever played football.
Also, it's like he spends 2 minutes talking about 3 teams. And it's like the least 2025 content you could make. It takes forever to get there. And he's like, and my number 2 team of the 2024-25 NFL season is the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's literally like a selection
oh my God,
show.
Shoot me.
It's like watching the college football playoff for the March Madness bracket, and it's like they're just like sitting there like making you wait to see who got the top seed.
It's just so maddening. Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind right now. I really like the Eagles defense, and I think they are poised to make a deep run in the playoffs this year. And you're like,
oh wait, that
put
reminds
me out
me.
of my misery, please. Somebody take my phone from me.
That reminds me. So we had asked people to keep emailing us in at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com about ideas for the Tom Brady drinking game because he's announcing the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create a bingo card or some kind of drinking game or something around Tom Brady. The best one I got so far, Mike suggested part of the drinking game should be you have to take a sip of water every time Tom Brady says KB to keep people from dying. Or we could just imagine if it was just take a sip every time he says KB and that was the whole game.
That's it. We're hammered.
We're just like fucking need to go to the hospital.
Every time he just does a play-by-play as the color. Like instead of actually analyzing the play, he just does another play-by-play. What KB's like, what'd you see there, Tom? And he's like, rolls out, sees Mike Evans, threads the needle, completion. And Kevin Burkhart's like, no, I just did that.
So
how did he get open? He's like, I don't know.
Just describing what happened in the play.
We got an email from Kevin. I think this is like most of the way there. Kevin emailed us with the Tom Brady drinking game again because he's doing the Super Bowl. We might have to pilot this for some of the earlier rounds. Kevin says they started this in November based on our show. And the rules are drink when Tom Brady says, great call, KB.
Mm-hmm.
Drink if Brady is obviously watching the replay as he's doing commentary on the play. Like that he hasn't finished when he's just describing it.
Right.
Like, Jordan Love takes the snap, looks left, like any of those. One drink when he says, like the play call right there, KB. One drink when Brady says, and that is what being a quarterback in the NFL is all about.
I think anytime he makes
just like a cliche.
Anytime he makes a vague reference to how tough football players are and how hard the game of football is.
And drink anytime he says that person was doubted, but the doubters were wrong.
Right. Or that both these teams are competitors and want to win.
One of these rules I like, 2 drinks when Brady says after someone drops a pass, you gotta secure that.
God. What about whenever he says the word pressure? Like he has marbles in his mouth? Pressure!
He can't say sack. That's the other one we need. When he says all the normal football words wrong. Sack. Whatever the fuck he says.
Sucks.
So anyway, yeah. So Brady like runs the Raiders, which is weird. Because he's an announcer. Which is
weird.
Like the guy who's functionally speaking without the title, the president of football operations for the Raiders, because it seems like Mark Davis is just going to let him pick whatever. It's just announcing the Super Bowl, which is so weird. But so they fired Pearson to Telesco. I don't know. What did you make of this, DK? I'm kind of like, I think it's weird the way they did it.
So he was only here for 1 year, right? This guy was the GM of the Chargers for the last decade.
And he drafted fucking, what's his name? Bowers.
Yeah.
I have no issue.
Had like one of the greatest seasons of any receiver ever.
Anybody's going to draft Brock Bowers.
They had like
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's funny that they fired him after that.
I don't know. Frankly, he doesn't get any credit for that for me. I'm like, literally, like, if we ran the fucking Raiders, we would have drafted Brock Bowers.
Literally, auto draft would have taken him.
Yeah, auto draft would have taken him. So Brad Spielberger, when he was at Pro Football Focus, they did this whole study of all the GMs and their picks. And a glorious detail was over like Tom Telesco's 10 years as GM. He was the worst GM in the NFL at taking players after the top 100 picks. So, the majority of the draft, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, nobody found fewer starters.
Because that's where you can't auto draft. You can kind of auto draft.
You could do average just pulling up any
the big board.
any big board, like just throwing darts and just auto drafting, you could do the top 100. You make your money like the Rams finding fucking starters in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round.
Some dude from North Dakota State who's just a stud.
Yeah. And like Tom Telesco's like the worst GM in the NFL.
Such a competitor.
And so I don't mind him being fired personally, but like
I just thought it was weird he got hired in the first place.
It was. It was.
It'd be
weird.
really funny. It'd be really funny if like the Raiders front office or Mark Davis or whoever like brought Brady in and they're like, Brady, like let's talk QBs. Like, what do you think of Cam Ward? And Brady's like, competitor. Really like the way he sticks back in the pocket. All these guys out there are playing hard this season. I thought it was a tremendous season for a lot of guys this year, Mark. Mark's like, no, actually though, like who's good? And he's like, all these guys playing hard.
Craig, this is actually like almost exactly what he said. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. He basically there was an article recently that Brady really liked Shedeur Sanders, and it was like the reasons he liked him were all the just like cliche things. I'm trying to find it. Hold on one sec.
I can I guess his father, Dion, NFL Hall of Famer.
He's got football in his blood.
He said this is from Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports. He says, from what I've been told about Brady's opinion of Sanders, blah, 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 there's a great amount of respect for Sanders' focus on preparation, his ability to learn and adapt, his accuracy and determination in the pocket, and his toughness to take hits and still be resilient.
Determination is funny. His determination in the pocket.
Focus on preparation, resiliency.
Yeah, I don't know. He's starting to glitch like the replicant in Alien or whatever. The robot guy.
Yeah,
he's like starting to he's like milk is coming out of his eyes.
I just think it's like just pure. I mean, look, those things do matter, but it's just a bunch of cliches. Like constantly, it's only cliches.
It's so good. Yeah, so it's weird that Brady's running the team. I think we'll see. I think that frankly that Mike Vrabel's going to go to New England and they're trying to convince Mike Vrabel to come to the Raiders. I think it's hilarious that the Raiders called Bill Belichick and said, "Are you sure you want to go to stay in college? You could come work for me." And I literally think that is Tom Brady big dicking Belichick. You're like, "I want to work for me, bitch."
Mm. And then if he says yes, they're like, "Well, too bad. Fuck you."
Yeah. It's literally like the movie where they're like sticking the handshake out and they're like,
yeah.
Too slow.
You you pretend to help someone up.
Yeah. 100%. Okay.
I mean, what is the sell to go to Vegas versus New England? Not only do you have the better quarterback, obviously New England, you even have the better pick.
Literally, the entire pitch is you could work for me or Bob Kraft.
Mark Davis is saying that?
No, Tom Brady's saying that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, what do you mean work?
I've had a lot of arguments here with Austin Gale, who is a Raiders fan here with the Ringer. And
sure.
No offense to Austin, but he's fucking delusional because I firmly believe the Raiders are the worst job. And that
it might be the Saints. What about the Saints?
The Saints are bad too. But I think the difference is the Raiders, what you're signing up for is the hardest possible path. It is the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. And it's the Broncos of Sean Payton, Bo Nix. I would say confidently those are 3 of the 8 best coaches in the NFL. And those are 2 of the best 5 quarterbacks. You have no fucking good quarterbacks. And like, you just have to build everything from scratch. And you have to beat those guys every year. The NFC South is tough. The Saints is a tough situation. But you could squeeze out a division title in that division at whenever. The Falcons, Bucks, like Panthers, like that's at least winnable. Like it's a tough situation with the cap where but if you believe in your coaching ability, like, yeah, you're probably the fall guy. But dude, the Raiders job, I feel like Tom Brady is essential to getting them a coach because there's nothing else about it other than it's an NFL job. It's pretty fucking daunting to take that job.
Even if they had the number 1 pick in the draft, New England is still the preferred option, I think.
Drake May. It's just, he looks awesome. Like, what else do you need? So they'll get somebody.
Yeah.
Do you think we could coach? No, we'd have to be we could be the GM though.
Who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders next year? If you had to bet week 1.
I think they're the wild card team.
Is it like Justin Fields?
No, I think they're the only team that makes sense for Rodgers. Like, I don't know if Rodgers plays football if he doesn't go to the Raiders. No, I'm serious. I don't know.
And Devontae's going back to the Raiders?
I've thought about that a lot. Maybe. I haven't said this on the show yet. I've been wondering if he goes back because I'm serious. Go, pull up the NFL teams. What team does Aaron Rodgers play for next year if the Jets cut him?
Pittsburgh.
Because if the Jets move on, the fact you even have to say Pittsburgh is like that. You're right, maybe, but like I think the Raiders were on Rodgers' original trade list like 4 years ago. It's ironically like Russ could be there, but I don't know. I think that Brady and Rodgers would get each other. Rodgers, frankly, what he tried to do with the Jets is what Brady tried to do with the Bucs. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fair point, but it's grim.
It's not going to be Aiden O'Connell. I can tell you that. All right.
Mac Jones.
McCorkle?
Is Mac Jones better than Aiden O'Connell?
No.
Who cares?
I think he is. Just
Who cares? It's the right
Who cares?
Who fucking cares?
What a pointless question.
Actually, TK, there are
Look,
dumb
we're just
questions.
filling the hours at this point, Craig.
Eating up minutes.
All right.
Hour 3 of the radio show, we're going to do Mac Jones versus Aiden O'Connell.
Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everyone. Again, we have we'll tweet it out, Instagram, everywhere. In the episode description you're listening right now, we have the LA Times article with all those organizations you can donate to for wildfire relief and everyone affected by the fires in LA. Thank you everyone for donating to that. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone who was patient with us when we didn't have shows in the middle of the week. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Billie Eilish.
A local legend.
Yeah. I don't know if I've
local?
Yeah, she's from LA, born and
if
raised.
I've called her out.
What?
before.
I thought she was in Florida. Is she really?
Yeah, she's an LA kid.
Oh, I like Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish's full name, Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell.
I know, dude. She has
Pirate?
the
Did you say
craziest
pirate?
name. Yes, pirate.
Get the fuck out of here.
Her name is Billie Irish Pirate Baird O'Connell.
Well, not Irish, but yes.
Not Irish?
Well,
What?
you said Billie
You said
Irish.
Billie Irish.
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
I
I'm
meant
sorry. I'm
Irish.
sorry. Her middle name is fucking Pirate,
Yes.
and she left that out of her singing name. She didn't go with Billy Pirate. She went with Billie Irish.
Billie Pirate.
Good question.
Can you imagine Pirate being part of your legal name and leaving that out of your stage name?
Yeah, Billie
She's a
Eilish pirate. Yeah, dude.
Why did they name her Pirate?
That's an excellent question, and I don't have the answer.
They're
to
not
that.
ending the show till they learn why her middle name's Pirate.
Her dad is Patrick O'Connell, who is an actor, and her mom is Maggie Baird, who is also an actress.
There's no on Wikipedia. There's no information. It just says Eilish was originally meant to be her first name, while Pirate was to have been her middle name. But her grandfather, William Barrett, died while her mother was pregnant, and so they wanted to name her Billy. But she grew up in Highland Park. I don't know why.
I want to know about the Pirate.
Why is Pirate not in this
Why
Wikipedia
is
page?
Pirate her fucking middle name? Pirate Baird O'Connell. See,
That is a hell of a name.
incredibly. You know what's funny? Billie Eilish is like her first 2 of her 5 names. That's a famous performer. The next 3 names could be like a running back for the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 20s. Pirate Baird O'Connell. You know what I mean? That could have played with Shipwreck Kelly.
So this is according to Google Gemini. Billie Eilish's middle name is Pirate because her older brother Phineas called her that while she was still in the womb. He was going through a pirate phase as a kid.
Actually, that's very cute. Yeah.
They named her middle name Pirate.
The family, her parents considered naming her Pirate for a moment. However, the grandfather died, so they named her Billy. So if the grandfather lived another 6 months, her name would be Pirate.
You know, I don't think she'd be famous. I think I'm biased against the whims of your 4-year-old older brother because when I was born, my brother was like 3 or 4, and he kept asking my parents if they could return me to the hospital.
And he kept beating the shit out of me
Yeah.
for 10 years.
Making you lick
Cersei
white dog
Lannister.
shit.
Yeah. Oh my God! I've ever told you guys this. Jackie's older brother did the funniest thing to her when she was a kid. When Jackie was going to kindergarten and some kids try to learn a little bit before you go and stuff. Jackie's parents caught her brother trying to teach Jackie all the wrong animal sounds.
Oh,
because he wanted
That's
her to
fun.
look really stupid when she got to kindergarten. So he taught her that like pigs go moo and cows go oink.
wow. That's
He was
funny.
trying to sabotage her at school so she'd have like no friends.
This is like the CIA. It's like misinformation pamphlets. He's like going out there trying to give you bad propaganda. My sister tried to kill me a couple times. It's a thing.
Oh.
Older siblings just trying to dispatch the younger annoying sibling.
Dispatch.
Dispatch.
Craig, did your brother ever try to kill you? Probably.
Oh yeah, my God.
Yeah.
I was like, he used to like tie me to trees.
Tie me to tree.
I got tied to a tree once with caution tape. I remember.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Things your siblings did to you when you were young.
My sister locked me in a trunk in like 100-degree weather, and then my mom couldn't find me, and she was like, "I don't know where he is."
That was your first sauna experience.
Literally almost died, but that's cool.
Wow. Yeah, I want a lot of those stories. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Anything like that. Yeah, being tied to trees, to caution tape, or locked in trunks.
Tied to trees.
Anyone
God,
else?
That's
They like were sitting down to dinner, and they were like, my parents were like, "Where's Greg?" And I was outside, tied to a tree.
just writhing. So the stuff siblings do to each other is a little bit like sociopathic.
Dude, do you remember? I remember because your birthday a couple years ago, because men have a hard time being nice to each other. So instead, DK was like, we should get Craig a present. I was like, fuck that. We should bring his older brother on and tell him embarrassing stories about Craig on his birthday. So we had you had Scott on a couple years ago, and he told us a story of how he would always, if you ever peeked your head out after bedtime, that he would, like the moment it was like 9:01, he would like tattle on you.
So
like,
annoying.
Just a narc.
Bedtime.
I used to sneak down the stairs and watch David Letterman from the hallway when my parents would watch it because I liked late night television, and my brother would always fib.
Is this why you like to watch concerts from outside the stadium? Like a continuation of your childhood?
I listen to them outside the stadium, DK. I don't watch them. What? I didn't buy the tickets. I didn't even know it was happening, and I was like, "This is cool. I can just hear it."
DK, how long were you in the trunk for?
I don't know, a while. It was one of those things where my mom, it was like exactly like Craig, like, where is Daniel? I grew up as a Daniel, by the way. And my sister was like, I don't know. And she looked all around. And then I think she said she like heard like whimpering coming from the back of the car.
Oh my God, you were like
and
crying?
I like was like beat red when she got me out. Like I was proud. Like if I had stayed in there, like
what's the
I don't know, 25, 30 minutes, probably would have died.
You would have died, you think?
It was like 100 degrees, dude.
Damn.
How long were you in there?
I don't know, 10 minutes maybe.
You wouldn't have died.
Okay. Maybe
Eventually.
not. Craig, kids do die from being left in hot cars.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair. What's the age difference between you and your sister?
Like a year and a half.
Damn, she kind of alphaed you. You were probably taller than her.
Craig, can you imagine a world where if we had, didn't have the show, we would never know about Shipwreck Kelly or, oh my God.
I don't get it.
No,
If I would have died.
Yeah.
Oh.
What else did she do to you? What else did she pull on you?
Her favorite story to tell is that she hit me in the head with a metal bat one time.
Oh my God.
Which I don't think I remember that, which is probably not a coincidence.
checks out.
I don't think you remember that.
Were you cleared to go to school the next week?
I don't know. Yeah, it had to be in the protocol for a little while there. It's funny because like now we like, haha, that was funny. I tried to murder you. But
That's pretty.
Kids are brutal to each other.
Her locking you in a trunk and then hitting you in the head with a metal bat.
Was she
kind
in
of
the
like-
mafia?
I know.
There's not that
So
much.
you gotta
like,
sleep with the fishes next.
There's not that much creativity in those. Those are just kind of pure evil.
She poured concrete around my feet. And
This
threw
is
me
like
in the
second
river.
degree murder more than first degree murder. She's
Yeah.
not planning it out. It's just in the moment. Oh, he's in the trunk.
Oh my God.
Let's shut this door.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.